to the Be Better podcast with Infinity Real Estate Services. True stories from Bakersfield's business owners and entrepreneurs. We have sold over 50,000 homes in the Kern County area, and we are still going. Delete your limiting beliefs. If you have a dream, turn it into a goal. Only massive, inspired action will get you to where you want to be. If you're starting a business or looking to grow one, you're in the right spot. Welcome to the Be Better experience.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Lee Barrison here with the Be Better podcast with Infinity Real Estate Services. And the purpose of this podcast is to be better in all areas of your life, whether you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, a mother, a father, a friend, whoever you are in life. But this podcast here is designed to talk about how to become a better, be a better person in general. Obviously, we are business owners, we are entrepreneurs, we are in the world of real estate. So therefore, it's important for us to talk about real estate here and there. And today, I want to introduce a very, very special guest of somebody who I've had the privilege to work with for about 6 years, off and on, here and there. Mm-hmm. And I really genuinely enjoyed talking to her because she is a wealth of information and she knows what she's doing, guys. So with that being said, let's get this podcast started, but before we do, I want to introduce the lovely and talented Summer Webb.
Thank you, Lee. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thanks for coming.
It's nice to be on this side of the interview for a change, because I'm usually the one hosting the show. So.
Yeah, so Summer is involved in doing podcasts, which I can dearly appreciate, but she normally is the one asking questions, and I think today...
I'm in the hot seat.
You're in the hot seat, right? And we're going to talk about something special. I think that all salespeople, especially real estate agents or anybody in direct sales, needs to maybe get a friendly reminder of. They also need to understand the concept and the importance of the word prospecting, otherwise known as lead generation or area development, whatever you call it, because a lot of people don't like the P word so much, so you can call it what you want. But I guess prospecting, it really comes down to talking to people that you don't know and those you do know. So with that being said, I guess let's start off with this, Summer. What are your thoughts? When you think of the word prospecting, lead generation, whatever you want to call it, what comes to mind when you hear those words?
Necessity.
Okay.
Necessity. It's a necessity to my business that I have conversations with people and that I prospect. However, 6.5 years ago, what came to mind when I heard that word was fear.
Wow. Okay. Now we're going deep right away. I love it.
I mean,
so what when you think about fear, like what were you fearful of, or what struck the notation of fear into your brain when you hear that word?
I think as humans, it sort of is natural in us to have fear, and fear of the unknown, fear of rejection. Honestly, at one point, I was afraid of being successful. I didn't know what that felt like, and what was that going to look like, and was I going to be able to continue to be successful, or was this just going to be like a blimp in my life?
A blimp in your life? Okay. Yeah, so and that's real, as funny as it may sound, ladies and gentlemen, that, the fear of being successful is for real, right? There's two sides to the coin, right? There's the fear of failure, the fear of not, setting out and doing what you intended to do. But then there's also the fear of success where, now that I'm busy and now that I've done what I'm supposed to do, now I've got all this business, meaning I have more obligations to attend. I have to show up on time. I have other folks that I have to attend to in order to satisfy my job with these people. And sometimes people are fearful of that. Like they don't want to be too busy, or they're fearful that, well, here's a little joke, I guess, but they're fearful of having to pay more taxes. The more money you make, ultimately you have to pay more taxes.
No, just the more deductions you look for.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
Like lease a car, it's a great thing.
Right, no, that's true too. So.
I think my fear of success came more from the fact that I spent my entire life surviving. right? I never thrived in life. From childhood through my entire life, it was a matter of survival. You know, when you live in scarcity and you're born into scarcity, that's a hard mindset to change.
Yeah.
So that pivot was really hard for me, but I'm really grateful to Infinity Real Estate Services because I was able to come in and see people doing something that I was afraid of, and they were being successful at it. And, you know, I've shared this before on the podcast, but it's so true. And it was a huge turning point for me. We do prospecting in the office, and Lee will join us for cold call sessions. And I was horribly terrified of cold calling. And, you know, I guess just, I don't like when people call and bug me, so I just assume that I'm calling and bugging people, right? But the reality of it is, I'm not calling to bug you. I'm calling to be of service to you. And I got to shadow you on some cold calls, and you were treated just like I was. People hung up on you. People yelled at you. In my mind, you had this perfect call every single time, and like you called and you said all the right things and you set the appointment and then you got the listing, and and like it was like that was the false reality that I had in my head until I was able to step in to the real world and sit next to you and watch you do it and see that it's not a matter of how many times they hang up on you, because that's going to happen.
Sure.
It's how many hangups you have to go through to get to the yes.
Yes.
Right?
That's such a good point, Summer, because, you know, and again, you can't really measure those numbers unless you
do it
first, right? You don't know how many no's you're going to have to get until you start tracking your numbers a little bit and deciding for yourself, okay, it's going to require this many no's in order to get this many yeses, right? And so let's talk about that for those out there that really are fearful. I love this topic, right? So let's talk to those folks out there that do have the fear of talking to people. And let's talk about this. One of the other reasons why people are fearful of talking to people about real estate or anything in general in sales is they don't know what to say. So tell us more about that.
That's a true story. You know, if you don't know what to say to somebody and you don't know the questions to ask to help them achieve the goal that they want to achieve, then you just, well, for me, I just was just waiting to get hung up on because I didn't know what to say. Like, I was sure it was coming. But we have something that we do in our office that's unique to our office that I've yet to see in any other office, and that's role play / script rehearsal. And the first time I read a script with you, it was like, none of this makes sense. This is crazy. There's no way this works. And because if you just read it, it doesn't read very easy, right? To just like a regular person. But then when you're actually role playing it and you get to see the tonality changes and you learn what to say, and people aren't that complicated. We all have the same objections. Sure. We all truly have the same objections. So once I figure out how to have those conversations and ask you the questions to find out what your goal is, what your objections are, then we can find this common ground and get you to where you want to be.
I love that. Yeah, so the scripts were uncomfortable in the beginning.
Oh, painful.
Right, painful.
Painful.
Okay. Calm down.
No, they really were.
No, I mean, here's the thing, is that they are painful until you get to know them, right? You got to become one with the script, right? And once you become, and just going backwards for a minute, but, just raw, intense prospecting, right? Just,
hours
inspired,
and hours.
enthusiastic prospecting, hours of it, right? In dedicating hours of practice and hours of rehearsal and hours of true raw prospecting, you eventually get really comfortable with the process, right?
Absolutely.
You start realizing, like, look, it's just another day, and this is my job, and this is what I signed up for, and I want to be the best there is that I can be. And so you're able to feed your family and yourself and do fun things because
and the IRS.
And the IRS, yeah, you're able to finance the IRS. And so, yeah, I mean, and that's good. So so let's go back to when you first, so you saw the script, you thought it was stupid. This is ridiculous.
No, I didn't think it was stupid. I thought it was scary and it didn't make sense to me.
Right. It didn't make sense, which I've heard more than once. And so once you embraced the script and then chose to use the script with inspired intensity, like what changed, or what did you notice within your business?
Okay, so I got to back up a little bit before I can answer
Sure.
that question. Hearing you say the script and having you do the scripts with us, and we would do this like round robin thing, or we'd do the round robin thing, and there's multiple agents in the room, and you fire off different things to us, and hearing you say it and the change in tonality, like it sounded so fluid when you said it, but I was reading the exact same words and it just didn't sound that way to myself. So getting in there and just doing it, getting in there every single day and doing it and trying. And then I got to the point where you have to memorize these things before you can internalize them.
Sure.
And if you are just reading something, you sound like a robot.
Yeah.
But if you memorize
When
it.
do you plan on moving?
Exactly. So I would write it out because that helped me memorize it. Then I recorded myself.
Beautiful.
And on my way to work or different, appointments, I would listen to that audio of myself. And that's how I was able to really internalize it. And once I internalized it, it became a very powerful tool for me.
Awesome. Now, guys, she's dropping nuggets right now, so pay attention. Summer says that she read it, she wrote it, and then she recorded it, right? And if you do those three things, then ultimately you're going to know the script verbatim and internalize it as well.
And I've seen a lot of agents do this, and it was my instinct in the beginning too, was to try to change it as I was learning it, right? Like, oh, well, this would sound better and that would sound better. But I was doing myself a disservice because it wasn't until I memorized it verbatim that I was truly able to personalize it and internalize it. So that was a powerful moment for me because now I know how to pick up the phone. I knew how to pick up the phone. I knew how to push the numbers, but I didn't know what to say once I got them on the phone call, right?
Sure.
So now I know how to have the conversation. Now I know how to ask the questions, and now I'm setting appointments. And then, an appointment doesn't really do you any good unless you know what your goal is once you get there.
True.
And there's another script for that. It's crazy that you would think of that. And that's a very powerful tool as well, because at the end of the day, when someone's selling a house, they all have the same goal.
To sell for the most amount of money possible.
In the least amount of time. That's it. That's what everybody wants.
Yep.
And so once you learn how to do that, it's not so hard to walk in and explain to them how you do that.
True. I love that, Summer. So let me ask you a question real quick. Do you think it's smart for people to prospect if they don't know what to say if they get the appointment and go on the appointment?
No.
Why is that?
Because what is the point of taking an appointment if you don't know what you're doing there? Like, if I don't know how to help somebody, why am I going to show up to help them?
True. And that's what I was hoping you would say, is that, it's great that you because some people just come out the gate, they just start prospecting, which is fine, but ultimately their batting average is very low when they go on the appointments.
I can attest to that because prior to joining Infinity, I was on a team for a very short time with Aaron Patel. May he rest in peace. He was a great guy. He did teach me a lot of things, and he introduced me to Mojo. But he would just say, just call 20 minutes a day. Just do it. And I'm like, well, what am I even doing? So I would just call and have these useless conversations with people. And it never turned into a lead. It never turned into anything. However, my missing piece there was I didn't know what to say, right? So I knew how to use the Mojo dialer system. I knew how to contact the people, but I didn't know what to say once I contacted the people, and my numbers showed that.
And then if you were to go on those appointments, what was your batting average? Were you like hitting 50% of those appointments that you went on, or was it less? Was it more? What did that look like?
Quite less.
Okay, so it was less than 50%?
Well, first of all, I set very few appointments because I didn't know what to say.
And the appointments that you went on were all fully qualified, I'm assuming, right?
No.
Yeah.
No, I didn't even know to ask those questions, right? I didn't realize that there was a whole set of questions that you should ask before you walk in there so that you're more prepared and you know how to help them reach that goal. Like, I was just shotgun blast. That's it.
So
I hope something hits something here.
Right. Yeah. Just whatever sticks, I'll take.
I did, manage to close 4 deals in 2 years.
Okay.
So.
Well, that's better than none. So
yeah,
that's good.
I mean.
So yeah, the topic is prospecting, and you blame your your
lack of skill set.
No. I'm sorry. You blame your success. Would you blame your success on prospecting or just talking to people?
100%.
Okay, good.
100%.
Because I mean, everyone gets in this business, right, Summer? And you're A-okay to disagree with me, but a lot of people get into this business thinking, okay, I got my license. Now I can create my own schedule. Now I can do whatever I want. Now I can show up when I want. I can leave what I want. I can talk to whoever I want, or the opposite. And that's basically it. And I'm going to become a highly successful real estate agent by doing this, right? But in reality, we know that's not true, right?
No.
And so not very many people look at the back end, or I'm sorry, the front end, the front loading of all the skills and the time and the effort and the rehearsal and the recording and listening to the recording, chanting with the recording, writing it out per day. I mean, these are all front load type things that have to be done in order to get success on the back end. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So for instance, those folks that got the real estate license had all these fantasies about what my new career is going to look like. A lot of them, unfortunately, do not think about all the effort, work, time, and energy that's required on the front end in order to reap the benefit on the back end. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I think a lot of people, including myself, I was, I had this false idea of like getting that license was automatically going to put money in my bank account. And the reality of it is getting my license cost me a lot of money, and passing the test taught me nothing about running a business.
Nothing. No.
Absolutely nothing. And my first 2 brokerages taught me nothing about running a business.
Because this is a business that you're running.
100%.
Yeah, and you're an ex-business owner, so I'm sure you had a one-up on some agents that got into the business, that's for sure. And so let's switch gears a little bit. So you're a prospector. You talk to people every day. What are your
people I know and people I don't know?
Those are the only two people.
Only 2 people
right?
in the world.
That's right. Yep. And Summer hit it on the head. So during prospecting, there's only 2 people that you can talk to on this earth, and those are those you know and those you don't know. And we know that the group that you don't know is much, much bigger than the ones that you do know. And so, if you were to pick 2 to 3 lanes of business or who you enjoy or like prospecting on the most, what do those groups look like?
So I obviously cold call. So, and for that's going to depend on where I'm at in a sell, right? If I just took a listing, I'm probably going to be circle dialing that area to let people know that that's for sale.
Because you have a purpose to talk to the neighbors.
If you know someone that wants to,
right.
Now's your chance to pick your neighbors. That's what I always say.
Beautiful, yeah.
And then, once it gets into escrow, you're going to do it again. And then once you sell, you're going to do it again. And then, if I'm prospecting expireds, then I'm going to start by, locating the expired listings. And then usually those calls don't go very well because they're a little bit irritated that their home didn't sell. So that's going to result in me going out there and knocking on their door and introducing myself in person. And if I can't get a hold of them, there's a secret little sauce that you do when you're out there, but I'm not going to say what that is.
That's an infinity secret sauce.
Yeah. So
only those that know, those that.
And then that sometimes turns, sometimes my initial contact, I never make contact with, but somewhere over here, I get to help somebody. Yeah. And it's all because I did the scary P word.
The work that wasn't really scary to begin with, right?
No.
I mean, when you really look back at it retroactively. Okay. So basically you enjoy, because everyone that we work with, I mean, it's always important that we identify, okay, what do you feel good about? Like, what lanes do you feel like working? Because there's so many lanes that you can pick and choose from, right? I mean, you can do cold calls, cold doors.
I've stood out in front of a Starbucks.
See, there you go.
And just introduce myself to every single person that walked in or out of that Starbucks.
That's a lot tougher than cold calls too.
Yes,
you have to have that face-to-face interaction.
But I will say this. People tend to be nicer to you in person than over the phone. Right? Because over the phone, you don't I'm pretty nice and I feel like I have a kind face and a good smile and you got to be a real jerk to be mean to me.
You're so funny.
But it does happen.
So you stood out in Starbucks. I mean, there's so many different lanes, right? For sale by owners, expireds, canceled listings, COI, database, referrals, open
Sphere of
houses.
influence is huge. That's huge.
Well, that's a big piece of your pie.
90% of my business comes from my fellowship and my sphere of influence.
So 90%?
100% of my transactions so far this year have come from one fellowship.
Wow, that's really good. But now it's maybe time to find another lane or two.
Yeah.
Right. Keep that 90% going. Whatever you're doing something right. But then then we might want to do some void fillers, like you said, circle dialing a neighborhood, talking about a listing that just hit the market that you took, or talking about a pending sale that you just put pending or sold. And then that might be another lane that might be more consistent for you. And then also the expireds. We know that there's not a whole lot of expires out there.
3 today.
But 3 expires today. One worth looking at. But if you focus on that group daily, then you're bound to pull some fruit out of that too. So that's good. So with your experience in the industry, and you talk to a lot of real estate agents. I mean, you're part of the board of directors for the Bakersfield Association of Realtors. Next year, I'm sorry, but you've already been indicted.
Yes.
You've been a major part of the board of realtors for going on 2 years now, or whatnot. And so obviously you talk to a lot of real estate agents, and I'm assuming that you guys do talk about business sometimes.
A lot of times.
A lot of times, right? And so when you guys talk about business, do they ever ask you questions, or do they ever voice their opinion about their business not being where it should be? Or do they ever talk about what you do to get business? What does that look like?
To be completely transparent with you, the conversations that I have with the people at that level are all producing agents. So our conversations aren't really like, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's more along the lines of like, what's going on in a deal. And because every deal is different. So, I don't know how to say this without making everybody's head swell up, but I tend to surround myself with high producing agents because that's what I want. We are the sum of the 5 people that we surround ourselves with. So, a lot of our conversations are geared more toward like, how can we make a difference? How can we make homeownership more affordable? What can we do at a bigger level to better our profession? Like our latest one that we were on was, we see a lack of professionalism in our industry. There's a whole new generation of people, and I'm not knocking anybody, there's different strokes for different folks. However, I come from more of like an older mindset, I guess, and I feel like you should show up and look a part and act the part and not just be really relaxed about it. Like I've seen agents show properties in exercise clothes, and this is one of the biggest transactions that most people make in their entire life. It's one of the biggest purchases that most people will ever make. And if they are trusting you to walk them through that, you owe it to them to show up as your best self.
100%.
So that's more of where my focus has been this year. I'm real committee heavy at the board. And so for me, it's not just about building my business. It's about preserving this profession for future generations and helping the existing agents shine in the way that we should shine together.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that, because you're right. I mean, when I got into the business 25 years ago, at the office I started at, they had a 5-minute rule if you didn't have a tie on. Meaning you can come in, but you got to go after 5 minutes if you don't have a tie on. And I tell you what, if I could rewind the tape and go back to those days, professionalism was a lot higher than it is now.
Absolutely.
People, they choose to wear the hat on backwards when they're showing properties, or, they just don't present themselves as highly paid professionals, to be honest with you, because that's what we are in a deal. And mind you, like you said, I mean, for God's sake, I mean, you're representing these folks on their perhaps biggest purchase of their entire life. You probably ought to, comb your hair, brush your teeth, maybe put a nice pair of clothes on, and maybe smile, and and do the right thing by maybe showing up on time.
Yes.
Right. Don't
That's
be
huge.
late.
And don't be late to other meetings with your colleagues either. Like, be on time all the time.
I have no idea what you're referring to, but we'll just keep moving forward.
Oh no, that wasn't pointed at you.
Oh, that's too funny. Yeah, so I mean that's great stuff. So okay, so for everybody out there that happens to be in real estate, say okay, because you talked, like you said, a lot of people at the board. They've been in the business, they've been seasoned, they got it, they already have their thing going on. So therefore you don't get a whole lot of questions about prospecting like the topic is today. But
a lot of people don't like to share their secrets either.
there is no secrets though, which is the
No.
funny part,
But there is.
Yeah, okay, fine. You can call it a secret if you want. But I'll just Google it. But anyways, with that being said, I happen to talk to a lot of agents outside of the business or outside of our office. And because it's my job to help improve other agents' lives or their business if I have the ability to do that, or if they're willing to trust me enough to help them with that. And a lot of them don't even want to come to an Infinity. A lot of them don't even want to talk about joining the company because they've either heard or they've seen.
They make you cold call there.
Yes.
They make you cold call there.
Yes, exactly. Summer, right? So I've heard it more than once. Like I'm good.
I don't want to do scripts.
Yeah, I don't want to do any
Yeah.
scripts. I mean, because there's two ways of getting business in today's market, and there's ever been. Number one, actually, there's three ways to get business. I apologize. Number one, you can wait for it, meaning an open house where you wait for a lot of unqualified neighbors to come in and talk about the neighborhood and eat your cookies and soak up your time.
Criticize the home.
Criticize the home or take notes off decorations. You can wait for it by putting a post on Facebook or social media thinking it's going to be that magic post that's going to create a lot of activity. But again, or you could put an ad in the paper, which I don't even know if it exists anymore, but if it did, that's another way of waiting for the business. Okay. Number two, you can buy the business. Okay. So, you can buy the business by, internet leads, right? That's a big
leads.
expense, so you're buying the business, which ultimately dips into your net at the end of the day. So internet leads are, they say it's you got about a 1% to 2% chance if you're good at converting them to convert those into an actual sell. So your odds are pretty good on that, knowing that it's 1% to 2% conversion rate. And it's expensive. Buying leads would also be, or buying the business would also be reducing your commission basically down to zero, knowing that I can get this listing as long as I basically do my job for free. You're buying the business. You're taking a pay cut in order to get a listing, right? So you're buying the business. You're buying the business by self-promotion, right? Paid advertisements, stuff like that. That's also buying the business. Or number three, and which has really been proven to be factual, is that you can go out and look for the business every single day. Because as a real estate agent, guys and gals out there who are listening, you wake up every single day unemployed in this business, okay?
Yes.
Every single day when you show up or when you decide to put your shoes on, get in the car and go to work, you have to wrap your head around that you have no business. Every single morning, you are at zero. And so if you are unemployed when you wake up every morning, you have three options on how to find a job, right? I can either wait for it, I can buy it, or I can go look for it. And I don't know about you, Summer, but you are a hunter.
Yes.
Meaning when you want to get more business, all you got to do is pick up the phone and dial it.
Or go knock on a door.
Or go knock on a
sit
door.
at Starbucks.
Or just go grab somebody out in front of Starbucks. And you know for a fact, because you've done enough business to where if I do enough of this, then I'm going to probably get this. And if I do this, then I'm going to get this. If I don't do that, then I'm not going to get that. Am I right?
I will say this. God always balances the scales, because there's been plenty of times where I've spent hours and hours and hours on the phone prospecting, and then out of nowhere, someone sends me a message on Facebook and was like, hey, I need you to list my house.
I love that.
And so just because your business may not come from the place that you think it's going to come from, but that doesn't mean that it's not good to exercise your time in that way.
True.
right? Because had I not been on the phone making those phone calls and staying in that mindset, maybe I wouldn't have known what to say to the person on Facebook when they messaged me in order to let them know that I am skilled enough to handle this for them better than anybody else.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it's funny how things happen, right, in this business sometimes where, you know, you've been, like you said, you've been prospecting all day. Not one maybe, not one yes.
Yeah. No,
And
no,
then-
never call me again. I'm dying in this house.
Just a great day on the phones. But then the universe pays you back by your efforts, knowing that you worked in good faith, looking for business, and then all of a sudden,
It's not the universe.
John Smith.
It's not the universe.
I'm sorry, God.
God.
I apologize. Yes, God will bless you. The real estate gods will bless you with the deal, anyways, because you've put the effort in. So with that being said, guys, I mean, I hope this struck a chord with somebody out there that either wants to take their business to the next level, or if they're uncertain about, remaining in this business, what it's actually going to take to be a highly successful real estate agent, if you're just looking for a different approach on your current business, I hope this struck a chord with some of you guys. I think I have one of the best players in the industry, at least locally here, sitting next to me, Summer Webb, knowing that she knows what she's talking about, guys. And she's not here to ruffle any feathers, but she's also here to tell the absolute truth about real estate sales.
Can I say something else
Sure.
really fast? So we do a lot of stuff. If you follow us on social media at all, and if you're watching this, my guess is you follow us on social media, and that's how you're seeing this.
Right.
We do a lot of different events here at the office. Like we had a home buyer seminar last month. We do ultimate prospecting quite often. We have what's called call nights, and we'll come in from like 3 to 7, and we'll have food, and it'll be all of us, and we group prospect together, and it's a lot of fun. And that's an open invite to anybody in Bakersfield or anywhere. If you are a licensed realtor or you're thinking about becoming a licensed realtor, we would love to have you. The more the merrier. So I just wanted to add
Thanks,
that.
Summer. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, just listen to what Summer said, and know that if you guys want to be a fly on the wall, you're welcome to come into our office. We have an open door policy for anybody out there that actually wants to see what we're doing or would like to partake in the experience as well. Again, this is Summer Webb with Infinity Real Estate Services, one of our top-notch agents here in the office and one of our lead coaches. And she definitely does help out around here plenty. And you can find her at the Board of Realtors if you can't find her online, or you want to give everybody out there your number just in case they have any questions.
Sure. It's super easy to find if you just Google Summer Webb, but it is 661-348-1362. And you can also find me at www.summertherealtor.com.
And that's Summer with one M, right?
Yeah, because there's just one me.
Okay, just checking. All right, thank you, Summer. Appreciate
thanks,
you. Great topic, and I hope everybody out there has an amazing day, an amazing week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Be better.